So walk us through, if you would, the strategy of what was targeted and why.
Well, you see the greater region here. You got Iraq, which you mentioned, Pete, and then you've got Turkey here to the north, and then you've got Israel over here and Jordan. And so it's a very strategic location, and you got Damascus, the capital, and then Homs, another area that we struck. So we struck basically these two regions here in Syria, which, there's important facilities in Homs, and there's important command and control facilities and air defense assets in Damascus. So I think that's the first piece that we need to talk about.
Mostly chemical facilities? How much did we go at their ability to make chemical weapons, and how much did we go at their ability to their air defense assets?
Well, you heard a lot of talk about the science and research buildings, and which were their production facilities. And so I think that's what was happening in Homs. That's where we were attacking there. In Damascus, you can imagine all of the surface-to-air missiles that the Russians have given them.
Very sophisticated.
The SA-2 that can go 80,000 feet in the sky. Our B-1 and B-2 bombers fly at 40, 50,000 feet. So these brave pilots were not without risk last night as they were flying around. And so the first salvo that you saw come in, and we'll talk in a minute about all the assets we have, but what you saw is that these Tomahawk cruise missiles were targeting the air defense assets, right? And so because they're unmanned and they can get in there, and if they get shot down, which, we heard a few were, but we don't know if that's true or not, right? And so if they get shot down, that's fine. But they went in about twice as many as we sent last year, which was 58, and targeted these command and control and air defense assets. Do you
believe they intercepted missiles? That's what Russia's saying.
I do not believe that. I believe that some of these may have hit the targets and they're still intact or something. And
so they're spinning fake news to save face.
Of course, they're going to do whatever they can to try to make it look like they had some kind of success. So let them talk about that. But what we know is that we defeated their air defense capability. Our pilots, the UK pilots and the French pilots, got in and out of there so far that we know with no casualties.
That's what's different. It wasn't just warships or submarines firing Tomahawk cruise missiles. We're talking about Air Force pilots and B-1 bombers flying over airspace that is contested.
That's correct. This was a combat operation with human beings flying aircraft, command and controlled from ships and from airspace coordination centers in different parts of the region, down in Kuwait and other areas. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So you look at the other coalition forces. I got to believe this was largely American-led. How much support did we actually get from our allies?
Well, you heard about the British Tornadoes taking off, and you heard about the French aircraft involved in there. I think it was more than symbolic. I think France and UK cowboyed up here, and of all the NATO nations, they're typically the ones, plus Canada, that are contributory. Everybody else is there for the cocktail circuit, but mostly the UK, the French, and the Canadians have been helpers here. So.
All right, so major Russian bases. This is what we know it's actually all about. They're propping up Assad. Yeah. Did we ultimately deal them a blow, or is this a symbol to them?
Well, look at it through. You heard President last night talk about diplomatic, information, military, economic. He actually didn't mention information, but you and I have talked about this before, that synchronization of the elements of power to impact Russia, to impact Iran, to impact Syria here. And this administration, perhaps better than anyone that I've ever seen, gets this. They synchronize these elements of power, the diplomatic piece. So what are we doing now? We've got all these forces we just showed just off the shore and surrounding. We've got this noose surrounding them, and we're going to do battle damage assessment today. What kind of impact did we have? We've issued a list of demands. And we're either going to go back at it again, or they're going to agree to our demands.
You mentioned informational. I'd say his Twitter account is
a single tweet
aspect.
Got the Russian Navy into the med, Pete. Right? True. A single tweet. And then an olive branch. His tweets are absolutely information war. And so that whole tweet about the economic